It's The Lonely Show. I thank you very much for joining me. Vinnie from the Overdose Talk Show. This is my solo thing, where I let people in on my personal life and some of my, I guess, more personal thoughts. You're not going to hear stuff about conspiracies and paranormal events and blah, 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 and a bunch of evidence. You're just going to hear me kind of open myself up a little bit. And I tend to do these shows at really heavy times in my life, when heavy shit is going on, as you can go back through the playlist and discover for yourself. And the past few days, I guess, has been one of those times because listeners are familiar with the story and how my life has drastically shifted recently. And I've just gotten to the point where I'm fucking homesick. I've got a place to sleep. I've got food to eat, and I've got a woman who loves me. But I'm not at home like I was. I miss my home. You know what I mean? I had this thing for a long time that I built, you know, and I looked over and I progressed in. And I had many memories in, and this was a home. Now I'm just sleeping in some apartment. You know, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, you know, just to catch people up, my girlfriend started dating someone else. She was still seeing me for a month or so. This was a 6-year relationship, very serious, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing. You know, when I discovered what was going on, I did some irresponsible things, we'll just say. And I got arrested, had to leave my home because the way I was making my money was all through my girlfriend at the time's bank account and all this shit. Run a business together. You know, and it all kind of collapsed at once. I left where I was living, which was, I guess what I'm talking about was my home. Outside of Chicago, in a historic area that I was really fond of, and I did a lot of building in, socially, intellectually, artistically, and otherwise. And the shock of the whole situation has kind of carried through the weeks and the months since I went through this initial change. And it's kind of given me some energy and some things to think about and some things to do and blah, blah, blah. And over the past few days is where I first just felt like, wow, things have like calmed down. And now I'm just fucking homesick. And not in this way where you go, I want mom's cooking and a place to just not worry, and how people are homesick in their 20s for their parents' house. It's not that. I was 25, 26 when I moved into this place that we're talking about. I had failed in many ways already. I was already someone who felt like I'm lucky to have another chance at things, at life and happiness, you know. And I built, god damn, I built myself another life in this new location. This meant a lot to me. I felt like I really, in a, not to sound too cheesy, but in like a spiritual way, communed with the land that I was on. This land was ancient considered by Native Americans and ancient peoples to be a sacred land, which was a neutral ground for a bunch of the Native American tribes that lived in this area. And to this day, I feel a weird energy when I get into this valley that I lived in, and it's hard to drive through there because as listeners of the show know, I do have to go up to the Chicago area for court fairly regularly. And I will have to pass through this valley. To this day, it's hard because I still feel this weird energy that this place has, called Willow Springs, outside of Chicago, Southwest, in Illinois, not too far from Indiana. And like I said, it was for a long time easy to distract myself. Now I'm living in New Orleans, okay, above a bar, pizza place, fucking music and people all the time, and fucking yelling and blah blah blah, back in this environment. By the way, this is the party capital of the country, right? Oh, New Orleans. Oh my God, what a wild time. This place is just alcohol. That's all. It's nothing. It's just alcohol. It's just a place where when you get off work at 2 p.m. and you want to have a drink, there's somebody drunker than you to make you feel better about yourself. Socially, alcohol is accepted in a way that it's not in most places you can go in this country. That's all this fucking city is. It's so wild. Such a party. Really? Yeah. What a crazy party where everyone is in a sociological kind of bubble and stays out of current events and doesn't really want to think about things, yet at the same time is oversensitive, and it takes 4 fucking days to get a bag of fucking weed. Whoa, what a party. Holy shit. Better watch yourself around here. It's alcohol. That's all this stupid fucking place is. So now I'm living down here, and it's been enough to take my mind off things until the past few days, where I've just gotten to be like, this place I built, this place I worked on, this place I lived, I'm homesick. I'm fucking homesick. I really am. It's a way I think you can only feel if you've really built in a location and you've really progressed in a location, and you can feel like, God damn, this is my bullseye right here. This is my little corner of all of the craziness and of everything going on in the world. This is my little fucking place. This is my shit. You ever felt like that was your shit? That was my shit. And now I'm just coming to terms with the fact that I'm not there. I'm not going to be back there. Oh shit, am I not going to be back there? The landlords are not going to be that happy. They're not happy. I know they're not. I didn't destroy the place, but it wasn't good the way that I left it. Especially after the turmoil of the last week, where I was just punching and kicking holes in walls. When you're a man, there's a thing. Your girl, okay? You've got a woman, right? Maybe your relationship's not perfect, but it's your long-term woman, and you've decided. And I don't know many people in my personal life that can honestly say this, but I know you're out there. But when you're a man who has honestly decided, I'm going to try to make this work. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be faithful. And I'm going to make this work for the rest of my life. When you really mentally made that decision, you're very vulnerable. You're very fucking, you're very open to the, what some would call an inevitability that trust will be broken, betrayal will be had, and, you're very open to this kind of shit. And not only because of the way that people feel betrayed by each other, and you form emotional bonds in a way that we can connect, we can identify with across genders, but specifically to males, there's a biological imperative to keep other dicks out of your bitch. Let me say that again. To keep other penises out of your woman. It's not something that I feel like females can really understand. The way that it feels. That moment. Okay? Now, Tracy, who we're talking about, who listeners of the show know about, and now she says to me, and everybody knows the story, I'm going to stay at my mom's. Oh, really? Are you? You lying fucking cunt. I drove to her mom's. She wasn't there. So now this is the morning that it all fucking happens, that my whole fucking life changes. I'm standing in front of her. Tracy, I know that you weren't at your mom's. There's been all this other shit lately that didn't add up. I know you're seeing someone else. I know it. It's no doubt anymore. Stop insulting me. Stop lying. Stop dragging this out. You chose to keep seeing me, blah, blah, blah. But you want to have your cake and fucking eat it too and be seeing this other guy. And you get caught. Okay. You're standing in front of her. Picture that moment. And any guy who's been through this can tell you. That moment where she says, yeah, you're right. I am with someone else. That is a physical transformation. I can't describe to you that fucking moment emotionally if you haven't been through it. It's just, you already know logically. Okay, here's what I'm dealing with. She's with somebody else. I gotta fucking do what I gotta do. Get out of the situation. Okay, you already are. You understand. But it's a physical, chemical transformation. It hits you. Have you ever smelled smelling salt? Because if you haven't, you're a better man than me. I had to try it. I don't know why. I was in the kitchen. I was stoned. I was at work. You know what I mean? As a cook, you're fucking around. You're looking in the first aid thing. Smelling salt. What's this? You ever done this shit? You ever smelled that shit? No? Alright, I'll smell that thing. Alright, here we go. Ah! It's like getting hit in the face with a fucking plank. There's nothing you can do. When the love of your life, she looks at you and, yes, okay, I'm with someone else. It's just, it's just a completely unique feeling that you can't. I don't see any way to quantify it in an easy way easy way to understand for anyone who hasn't been through it. If you've been through it, you're already with me, and you're going, I wish this guy would fucking move on so I can stop thinking about that fucking cunt. Because that's all you're thinking about right now. Your fucking cunt. And I'm trying to talk about my fucking cunt. Fuck. There's nothing like that feeling. And then it just gets better over time. I felt like I wanted to die. And famously, not famously, but, for within the realm of the folklore of our show, yeah, famously, I tried to kill myself through fucking police shit, trying to tell the cops that I was armed and that I wanted them to come in and kill me. And they were knocking on the door, and I didn't expect them to fucking break in yet. And they break in, and I was just standing there with a bottle of whiskey, clearly not a threat to anything, just crying. This is the most pathetic moment of all time that I know of. Just a big fucking tough guy that wants to get taken out by the cops because I couldn't handle it anymore. And they do break the door in, and I wasn't even ready, holding the fucking thing to look like a gun or anything. I'm just fucking standing there drinking, crying like a piece of shit, which is what I am. Oh, man. And when something like this happens, the tendency is you want to blame the other person. You must have gone crazy to not love me anymore. You must have forgotten what we had. But the truth is, either we weren't compatible, or I was enough of a piece of shit that she got sick of me and she left. And that's the hardest thing when you're going through this stuff. After something like this happens to you, you need to confront reality at some point. I can sit around and cry and play the victim and go, how could she do this to me? She must be nuts. I loved her. She was smart, funny, and generally respectable as a human being. Successful, and a bunch of other things. So it's not worth fucking sitting here and pretending, oh, what a cunt, I always hated that cunt. And that's the hardest thing to get over, is to abandon your ego and go, God damn it, how did I create this situation for myself? Probably, because that's always probably the truth, is you really do just create these situations for yourself, especially when you're a man and you suck. Yeah, she was a bitch, and I hated her a lot of the times, day to day. But you as a man, you look back, and I think a lot of us are like this. You just go, fuck, I'm really focused on my legacy and my work and my life and what I am and what I'm going to leave behind and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I loved her, and I thought we were working on this together, but I didn't take enough time to kind of make her feel appreciated and special in any kind of way. And it's an easy trap to fall into. And I think I did it in certain ways. So now I'm back in New Orleans. As I said, this city is a weird thing to me. A lot of people love New Orleans. A lot of people hate New Orleans. I am very cautious of New Orleans because I know its power. It's a weird little shithole. You can't get out of it once you're in it. There's weird ties to it everywhere you go. You meet someone who worked somewhere where you worked, and then they knew somebody, and there was this tie and that tie. It's just a weird little social vortex of bullshit, and it's hard to get into, and it's hard to get out of, and it's a rough place, but it's an easy place to get by if your standards are low, as most people who live here, would probably agree with. It's a very easy place to get by in a shitty way. It's I moved here when I was 18, by the way. We were out of Chicago, out of high school for weeks. And at this party, we've told the story on the show before, decided that we should leave town. A couple of my friends and God damn it. And now I got to tell the whole thing. We're drinking shots of fucking Everclear and making Molotov cocktails. That was what really happened, all right? And we took like these stupid 20 Molotov cocktails made of wine bottles and kerosene and torn up clothes, you know, for the little thing that you stick out of the end of the bottle of cloth. And we get all fucked up and we go down by the railroad tracks and we start throwing Molotov cocktails at freight trains that were going by and just watching these giant flaming freight cars. It's just the outside, the steel, you know what I mean? You're not burning really anything. You're just watching flaming freight trains. And it's fucking cool. And you're laughing because they're going to go through the next town and everyone's going to see them on fire. It's crazy shit, okay? I guess that's not normal as I've become an adult and I've talked to more and more people. I guess not everyone did shit like that, but that's what we did and it seemed normal. Throwing fucking bombs at trains, dude. It was great. And we ended up that night deciding we can't stay in the suburbs here outside of Chicago. We can't just stay here. We got to go. So we end up leaving through this whole weird chain of events, end up in New Orleans. Not our original destination, but we end up there. And ever since then, I've had a weird relationship with this place. The first major love of my life happened here. Was one of the girls I was with when we came down here. And that was the first time I experienced real adult heartbreak, where that feeling I was talking about, where you go, what? It's really over? And your head spins and gravity changes and you're just, what the fuck? That was the first time. I was living down here and had the worst breakup ever. And then I ended up back in Chicago with no intention of fixing my life whatsoever, and met this girl named Darcy, who was on the Sunday show last night. We ended up moving back down to New Orleans together and have since had a tumultuous relationship full of all kinds of bullshit. When Darcy really left, that's when Tracy, the girl who just, I know this is getting confusing, but this is where Tracy picks up, who is the girl who just left recently, who was a total cunt. How did I meet Tracy? This should have been a red flag. Darcy had left and whatever, and I was pissed off and heartbroken about that. And I meet Tracy because she was fucking a friend of mine, a good friend of mine from grade school. And she was married at the time. She was married, and she was working for, this web development company, and fucking a friend of mine on the side, and like partying with us, like him and me and like a couple of other of our friends, bunch of scumbags who were 5-6 years younger than her. And meanwhile, she's like 28, 29, married. And, as he eventually discarded her because he wanted to get serious about some relationship with another girl, I started fucking her. That's pretty much what it was. Tracy Sheely. The distinguished professional and the with the law degree and the prim and proper woman that she'd like to present herself as. I met her because she was fucking a friend of mine in fucking jacuzzi suites at 8 at night telling her husband she was working late. And I didn't see this as a fucking red flag. I'm stupid as shit, dude. She presented herself from the beginning as a completely untrustworthy slut, and I didn't pick up on it. I don't know why. I really should have known, but eventually I decided that I would be in love with this woman, and this would be the plan for the rest of my life. And I didn't think she would do the same thing to me that she had done to everyone else in her past. So now that happened, you know, me and Darcy got back together because we had started talking and hanging out a little bit as this whole thing was falling apart. And then when I realized, you know, what a piece of shit Tracy was, I kind of thought maybe, you know, this whole thing that I was heartbroken over in the first place, maybe I'll go back to this. And that's Darcy. And that's where I am now. And now we're living together in a small apartment in New Orleans. And to tell you the truth, it hasn't been easy. She's dealing with a lot of emotional weight here, and so am I. And I think we've tried to kind of give each other slack in that regard. But it's been strange, and it's intense, and it's weird. And I'm homesick. I'm really homesick. I want to wake up in the place that is familiar to me and make coffee and go about my duties, you know, in my life and working on my various endeavors, and from my familiar command center. It just sucks, man. It's weird. It's real weird. And I am in love with Darcy. Always have been, always would be, always was, didn't matter. As a man, I feel like I'm capable of loving more than one woman at once. I feel like a lot of women aren't capable of that. And I'm not trying to make some blanket rule here, but I just think in our society, a lot of women don't do that. But I think a lot of men are capable of loving more than one woman at once. To, you know, in as much as we can love. Maybe we're less capable. We have a more shallow and, you know, a less impressive depth to our love. That, you know, and women are maybe using a little bit more of their heart than we are. But that's the thing. It's not about whether or not I'm in love. It's just about the fact that I was building a life and I was really into it, and it's all been kind of yanked away from me. So I'm homesick. I've developed a talk radio umbilical cord. I can't deal with silence anymore. I was to a point in my life before where I could deal with silence, and now I'm just like, holy fuck, if I need to walk to the car, I gotta have YouTube, Opie and Anthony on, some bullshit, the Corbett Report. Those are the two most opposite things you could listen to. Whatever the fucking shit I want to hear right now. I need something to be going on. I'm just frantic. I'm miserable and weird. But that doesn't mean that my situation isn't leading somewhere positive. As I said, I'm in love. Always was, always would be, with this woman called Darcy. I just don't think that she's very happy with the circumstances that brought us back together, because she knows that I tried really hard to save my last relationship. And she knows that I ultimately am not here by choice. And that's fucked up for her. You know what? I'm going to leave it at that. That's fucked up for her. And she's a strong, noble person to try to stick with this situation and believe in me as a person. And that's the Lonely Show. For this lonely New Orleans morning, as the fog is rising, the sun is coming back up. All of the drunks are tucking themselves away, scurrying like cockroaches off of these main roads, calling their Ubers and getting back into their flea-infested hovels. A town full of fucking assholes and losers. And me, another hypocrite, on top of an undeserved philosophical perch, I will continue to preach on the Overdose Talk Show, the Lonely Show, and any other platform that I give myself for no reason. I'll see y'all in the next upload. This was my pleasure, and I want you to take care of yourselves. Think about what I've said. Until next time, this is Vinnie on The Lonely Show.